Welcome back to 20 Side Adventures. My name's Ryan. This is Cleric 202. This is a unique version in this series when a class has a class archetype available to it. Again, if you're unfamiliar, class archetypes are a special type of archetype that specifically change the fundamental workings of your class, and the Battle Harbinger does just that. If you want to be a melee-focused debuffer or buffer, this is the class for you. It does drastically change your role as a cleric. You're not going to be very healer or casting focused. You are going to be in the thick of the fight and making life difficult for your adversaries. If you like what we do here on the channel, please leave a like and subscribe. It means a lot as we're pushing for 1,000 subscribers by year's end. Easiest way to support the channel, as always, leave a comment. I do enjoy chatting with you guys. And last but not least, if you are interested in reading about the happenings at my table, check out my Substack where I've been writing novella-style write-ups of each session, where you can follow House Nightraven through its adventures in trying to rebuild the Shattered Lands, a kingdom builder campaign. With no further ado, let's check out the Battle Harbinger in Cleric 202. All right, we're back for a special 200 level course. This is 202, the Battle Harbinger. So this is a class archetype. So again, this fundamentally changes a class. It has to be taken at level 2. And depending on the game you're playing in your GM, you might require their level 2 feat to actually be this instead of using the free archetype slot. That's up to your table and GMs on how you guys want to play that if you are utilizing free archetype. If you're not, then obviously this has to be taken as your second level feat. Battle Harbingers are more melee focused and their font changes drastically. So this is a really big change to how you play a cleric. And in my opinion, it's actually one of my favorite class archetypes and really creates an interesting play style for the cleric. So some primary things: you have to be a cleric, you don't get the Resolute Faith class feature, and you don't get the Miraculous Spell class feature. Just real quick what those are: Resolute Faith, I believe, is at 9. That's what lets your successes on will saves become critical successes, so you won't get that. And Miraculous Spell is rank 10 spellcasting, so you won't be able to get maximum rank spells with this archetype. Also, your spellcasting gets adjusted. You have a completely different chart from other clerics. We'll see that a little bit further down. And then your divine font changes. You no longer slot heal and harm spells. You instead slot Bane or Bless, which are AoE buffs or debuffs that have a persistent aura. And if you're not familiar with these spells, I'll just pop it up real quick here. This is a pretty cool way for how cleric emanations work, and this was different in Pathfinder, and I don't remember it from D&D, so I think it was fairly new in general. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I never did play 5th edition that much. So you start as a 10-foot emanation with the Bane spell, and it lasts for 1 minute. If you spend an action to sustain the aura of Bane or Bless, every time you sustain it, the aura gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you want to take the time to get your aura bigger and bigger and bigger to affect more enemies or more allies, you can just spend 1 action every round to continue to sustain that. And then this class is going to have some pretty unique ways to keep that sustain going and keep auras rolling. So how does this affect your class? First level, the initial creed, you get trained in light and medium armor. So even though this is taken at 2, you're going to have to let your GM know, because if you're starting at level 1, this will change how the cleric works, and they might just let you slot this in early if you are going to be a Battle Harbinger. I'm not really sure how that would work. I generally start all my games at level 2 because I like free archetype, and so I just let everyone start with their free archetype. You become trained in martial weapons, you're trained in your deity's favored weapon, and you're getting the Deadly Simplicity upgrade right out the gate with this class. At 13, you're also going to get Divine Defense, and your proficiency in armor is going to get up to Expert. At 5th, your battle doctrine here is going to give you expert proficiency in your deity's favorite weapon, martial weapons, simple weapons, unarmed attack. So basically everything except specialty weapons you're going to be an expert in. When you critically succeed, you're going to get critical specialization at 5th level. So you're going to be much more melee focused on this build. And your class DC gets upgraded to expert. You'll notice that's your class DC, not your spellcasting DC, because you're not as spellcasting focused on this one. At 9, you get reactive strike. At 11, your spell attacks get increased. At 13, you're getting master with your deity's favored weapon. Your fortitude's getting increased to master, and you're getting that fortitude becomes a critical success on a success instead at 13. At 15, the class DC is going up, and you're getting an increase in will save to master. And at 19, light and medium armor, you're getting master armory at 19, so you'll be the most armored cleric as well. So let's take a look at the spells. You will notice you lose a lot of spellcasting. You're going to keep 5 cantrips, and you will actually lose lower level spells as you level up, very similar to the summoner class. So you're going to start with 1, then you get 2, then 1 and 2, and then 2 and 2, and then, oh, look at this, you start losing your level 1 spells, and you only got 2 and 3. Then when you move up to 3, 4, you've lost your level 2 spells. So definitely a lot less spell casting on this class, and you're going to have to keep an eye on that. So you are probably not the healer in this because, again, you don't have a font anymore. You're getting those aura spells in your fonts, but maybe you can slot a heal or 2 in here just to keep that option available to you. You now get a wide array of new feats with this archetype that are only available to the Battle Harbinger. So let's take a look at what those grant you. So first off, taking the dedication at 2, which you have to take at 2 if you're going to go into this, you become trained in athletics or acrobatics, and you also gain toughness as a general feat. So you're going to have a little more hit points than the average cleric, and you're getting a free training in athletics or acrobatics on top of the normal training that you get for just being a cleric. At 2, you can take Vicious Swing, clearly a fighter poured over if you want to be able to have a little bit more damage. At 4, you're going to get Aura Enhancement, so now you can add Benediction and Malediction to your Aura choices rather than just Bane and Bless. So what do these do if you're not familiar with them? Benediction is a +1 bonus to AC to all allies within the emanation, and that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, so you can boost the defensive yourself and your allies. Or Malediction, which is you're going to reduce the AC of the enemies in that aura. They do get a will save, which for a lot of frontline fighting baddies should be their weakest save. So there's a very good chance you could just be sucking down the AC of your foes, making it easier for your party to cut through them. At 4, you can also take Intimidating Strike. We know that from the fighter, so if you want to be doing a little bit of frightening while you're striking. At 4, you also have an option for Tandem Onslaught. So this one's really cool. It is just a rider feat that when you damage an enemy with a strike, you automatically sustain an aura. So once per round, when you hit someone, your aura just gets bigger, so you don't have to spend the action sustaining your auras to get them up to the size you want. It is possible to have multiple auras up at once, so you can sustain one to get it bigger, hit someone to get the next one bigger, and just get both of these auras up and rocking. The spell will strike at 6, so this one you're going to have to weave in with your spellcasting to make it really work, but as a free action, after casting a non-cantrip spell, you can give yourself a bonus to damage to the next strike that lands. So you're going to get a 1d6 bonus to force damage unless the spell you cast had a specific damage type built into that spell, in which case it would change the damage to that type. You cast a fire spell, you're now doing 1d6 fire damage in addition to the normal damage you deal out. So this is a good way just to get a little bit of extra damage on your Harbinger. Exigent Aura. This now allows your auras to affect mindless creatures that would otherwise be immune to them. So this is a good way to make sure your auras are always effective. If you want a little bit more armor, you can now have heavy armor proficiency that scales up just like your light and medium. So this is a great way to just get even tankier on this Harbinger build. Creed Magic is a way to increase your casting abilities. So you gain 2 special second rank Creed spell slots. So now we're at 2, now we're up to 4, and you can prepare Resist Energy, See the Unseen, Sure Strike, Water Breathing as if they were divine spells. So this is giving you access to more spells in a pretty hampered spell casting list. Now again, it's pretty limited on what you can choose, but for me, Sure Strike to then proc Bespelled Strike to then get advantage on making the next strike action. Pretty solid combo if you ask me. At 10th level, you get 3rd rank and you can add Haste or Heroism to those slots. And at 14th, you're going to get some rank 4 slots where you can add Fly or Unfettered Movement. So just some real utility melee spells to continue to make your Harbinger a little bit more effective. You could also choose to go Harbinger's Armament at 8, where you're going to be like a champion and you're going to get a free property rune slot in your deity's favored weapon that you can load Fearsome, Ghost Touch, Returning, Shifting, or Vitalizing in. You can choose that every day as part of your daily preparation, and this does not count towards your actual rune slot, so it is a free additional rune. Empowered Onslaught is a reaction when you critically hit and sustain a battle aura, so it's very possible that because you took the feat that lets you sustain an aura when you hit, that when you critically hit, you sustain for free, and now you get to use this reaction, and what this does is it increases the buff or debuff by 1 to a total maximum of 4 every time you do it. So if you're critically hitting in this fight, and you have Benediction or Malediction up and you're sucking the AC away from your enemy, you could potentially get that debuff up to -4. That's pretty huge. Or if you're going the buffing route, you can get your buff up to +4 to your allies. That is a significant amount of AC if it's on Benediction, and Bless for being able to get that extra to hit. A +4 is a pretty massive bonus. Tandem auras, so if you have 2 auras going at once, when you sustain one, you sustain both. So if you are frequently using 2 auras and you want to increase that, this is a great tool for that. 16 has Aura Expertise, which is free action. And at the beginning of your turn, you automatically get a sustain on one of your battle auras. And quite frankly, this doubles up with Tandem Auras because it is using the sustain action, and it's up here, and it's when you sustain it. So if you link these two together at 16, every round for free, your auras are just getting bigger. And then if you also have it when you hit someone and it gets bigger again, well, your auras are going to be covering the whole map by the end of this fight. 16 is Greater Armament, where you have some more choices available to the rune you put in there, which are Brilliant, Corrosive, Flaming Frost, Holy, Shock, Thundering, and Unholy. So your more traditional damage boosting runes become available for a little bit of extra damage output on your Harbinger. And then Live the Creed. Once per every 10 minutes, you can cast one of your aura spells as a single action instead of a 2 action. For level 20, I'm not a huge fan of that one. Like, great, you get swift casting on an aura once per battle. I don't know. I feel that's probably the least interesting feat available to you on a Harbinger. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you think about the Battle Harbinger. I made a bad guy one of these for my players to fight, and I loved them. It is definitely on my short list of classes I want to play in the near future. Let me know what you think of the Battle Harbinger in the comments below. If you like what we're doing here, please give a like and subscribe, and we're going to wish you a fantastic time on your 20-side adventures. We'll catch you next time.